Today, there was a rough night in Louisville last night after the Breonna Taylor announcement, and also a crowd boos President Trump as he goes to pay his respects to the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We have got that and much more coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I'm Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Jaco Booyens, host of the Jaco Booyens Show. Thank you for being here, sir.
I love the camo.
Yes,
You're battle ready. I'm sitting here thinking she's ready. This mama's ready to go to battle to get this baby into the world.
You are not wrong there, Jaco.
Battle ready.
I was ready a week ago,
It's
so now it's
camo.
just like, ugh. And I can already see all the comments out there. We can't see you today, Sarah. All right, I get your dad jokes. Okay, thank you. They're very funny. Also joined by Kezia Schaefer, host of Crocs On, which everyone can find on YouTube. Yeah. She thinks I'm funny.
Yeah, I'm still laughing at the camo joke. I think those dad jokes are the funniest.
They are pretty funny, and my husband is really good at them, so I hear them quite often. It's the camo, and then also when you wear the jeans with the holes in them, and he's like, would you get attacked by a puma?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Oh my gosh, you guys.
I like him.
Me too. He's pretty good. I think I'll keep him. All right. So overnight, we talked about the Breonna Taylor announcement. There were no indictments for the people the officers who actually were responsible for shooting Breonna Taylor. There was one indictment of wanton endangerment by a police officer who shot into some neighbors' apartments. And we saw the chaos just starting to trickle out in Louisville as of the time of this taping of the show yesterday. And as expected, it got much rougher overnight. Louisville police arrested 127 people overnight, including a gunman accused of, I mean, he did it, but here on the show, we have to be legal and be like, allegedly, he shot two police officers. He shot two police officers. So nothing to see here, people. Just people taking to the streets and shooting innocent police officers who, by the way, are there to protect everyone else and make sure that people are safe and nobody gets hurt. One officer was shot in the abdomen below his bulletproof vest, and the second was shot in the thigh. They both are expected to make full recoveries, but crazy night in Louisville, and I want to get both of your thoughts on what is going on there and just how absent the facts are on the ground with these people who are rioting in the streets. But it's interesting because yesterday we saw video of a U-Haul truck parking out in a parking lot, and you pull the back of the U-Haul up, and really randomly, there are all of these signs, abolish the police, abolish this, and the rioters are like, how coincidental. There's just these signs right here, and there's nobody else to use them. I guess we'll just grab them and go. It's almost like it was something that was coordinated. What you think?
Coordinated and funded, and you do those things from the top.
Yeah. Something tells me those rioters did not have the funds.
Remember the bricks that just showed up, the piles of bricks,
yes.
Well placed when there's no construction? No, come on, man. This is again, people looking, yes, the Breonna situation is that situation, but we are a country of law and order, right? Killing more people and marching the streets and burning things down never accomplishes anything unless you're the radical left and you've got a political agenda and you want to actually abuse the very people that should be protected, right? At times even their own. The police is there to actually make sure that whole situation goes down, civilly.
Right.
As much as possible.
Yeah, they're there to protect a peaceful protester's rights.
Who for the protest, maybe there's a license or not, but they want to protect the rights. So you're going to go shoot the police because all of a sudden, they're the bad guys. Look, this whole one pill for all cures mentality in our country. So we hate the police because something happened, or there's one cure for COVID, or there's only one way to run a country. We're going to see more of that coming on here. And as you so well know, Kez, and your family, people are losing their minds. But I believe firmly they're permanently like that. They're in that state. They're in that state of anger, and they're just waiting for a reason to storm a city. They're waiting for a reason to just go in a vile fashion, spew out hate and anger towards our country and hurt people, right? So whether it's this situation or the next, I think they're just permanently in that state of anger and bitterness.
You agree, Kaz?
Oh, for sure. And I was talking with my husband about it this morning, about how like the whole narrative that's being pushed, even when I speak to my parents and friends back in Australia, and they're like, oh, people keep saying like all these peaceful protesters in America are getting arrested by the cops. Like that is the narrative that is being pushed in Australia and all across here. And I'm thinking like, I really believe the people, the protesters out there, also believe that exact same narrative of the police are doing this. We are peaceful protesters, as I've hit a cop in the back of the head with a bat and burned this down, but we're just peaceful. Like it's, I can't understand it with my own mind, but I think you're totally right about just this state that these people are in.
And it wasn't just in Louisville. It was, we have video of a rioter in Portland. Of course, Portland just wants chaos. The people in Portland, they just want chaos. They're just chomping at the bit for the next round of chaos to take place. I'm sure your husband can attest to this, Kezia. I know you've seen it as well. That they're waiting for the next chaos to hit so that they can just use it as an excuse to burn everything down. But in Portland, a rioter who was rioting over the Breonna Taylor indictment actually threw a Molotov cocktail at a group of Portland police officers, and it actually struck one of them as they set fire to the Justice Center. Yes, this is actually happening in America. Watch. Yeah, so really lovely people on the ground. That's the way you get justice.
Good old Nancy Drew, Sarah. Everything, you're just like figuring it out. There's something about
she's got
this.
She's got it.
They're lovely.
I'm sitting here and I go, this culture, these people, this is not America, by the way. Okay, this is the radical faction. They must live in the gaming world where there's no consequence. Right, where you shoot people in the game and your character dies and it comes back to life. I mean, there's no consequence. We need a return consequence. You throw that Molotov cocktail, that's illegal, by the way, okay? Yeah. There needs to be severe penalty and severe consequence. The pendulum needs to swing back to, hey, some equilibrium, some stability. Do this kind of thing and throw the book at them. Really go after it. Like really, I know you said hundreds arrested or whatever, but those who actually break the law, it's time. It's time to tough love. Needs to return to the United States.
Do you think it, I mean, I don't disagree with you that obviously there are a lot of people who have been desensitized to the idea that like we are all living human beings and there is something to that and you don't just get to go around killing people or harming them. But do you also think that it has something to do with the rhetoric that they're constantly hearing, not just from Democrat lawmakers, but from the mainstream media, constantly telling them how horrible police are? Police brutality is a systemic problem in America. I mean, if you are sorry, but these people on the ground are very clearly useful idiots. They are being used by a higher, purpose. So if you're a useful idiot on the ground and you're constantly being fed this information that police are the problem, that police are out there killing innocent people, police are doing this, police are doing that. I mean, I guess, if you're that brainwashed and you don't understand the truth and you don't understand that that's not true, I guess they finally, they think that they are the crusaders. They think that they are the heroes of the situation even.
Yeah, no, the Kezia said it, right? And I said it's top down. It's because the media, they know they can indoctrinate these people. They know they've got an audience that will eat whatever they feed them and act upon it, as radical as it may be. Now, one point in time, that girl's going to wake up if she stays alive and look back and go, what a fool I was. I hope one day, right? But they're drinking from this poison fire hose, and without question or any cognitive, filter, just going out and go, it's my right to burn this city down, to shoot the cop, to do this, to take justice in my own hands. Forget about law and order. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. But I think the media knows, they know their constituents very well. The left know their constituents very well, and they know they have brainwashed and demeaned their own people to the point where they are literally just sheep. That if you say, jump off the cliff, they're going to jump off the cliff. They know that, and that's why they know the avalanche of CNN, Don Lemon, all this nonsense, the Cuomos of the world, they know that you push it, they'll do it.
Yeah.
It's like Minions.
Do you agree?
Yes, that's so interesting, because I was thinking as you were talking about how these protesters are the same people who will just worship the government. Yes, I'll put a mask on. Yes, I'll do. Just absolutely love this authority that the government's taking. And yet at the same time, they so hate authority that they're going to go out and attack the police, and how you're saying we need to bring that authority, tough love back. But I think it is because of the brainwashing of the media that they don't even see the irony in that.
Yeah, they can't understand that they're doing the exact same thing. Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. Last but not least, Florida, there was a hot spot as well. Well, as Dallas, I think. Elijah was
last
out
night
the
they
riots in
started
Dallas.
Gathering, and so he went out and covered that. So it's everywhere.
How bad did it get in Dallas?
I don't think it was as bad as other places, but yeah, it's the same old.
Yeah.
You know, it's saying, oh, it's not as bad as other places. The rioting has gotten so bad that I don't know about you guys, but I'm almost numb to it.
Yeah.
Like someone
That's
getting
how you
hit.
desensitize.
Yeah, where it's like, oh, someone getting beat up or set on fire isn't that bad compared to like what we've seen.
Right.
Where actually that's really bad.
Yeah,
It's bad.
It's a low bar that we've got here. But Tampa Bay, there were protesters out in Tampa Bay as well following the Breonna Taylor decision. And remember, guys, this all happened in Louisville, Kentucky. This was happening in Kentucky, but these riots, these protesters were breaking out everywhere. Here are a bunch of rioters harassing diners in Florida for some reason. I don't know what these particular people did to the rioters other than like want a nice meal out with their family, I guess. Here's a little bit of that.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
So blowing a horn in their face, screaming at their table just to harass them for, again, I don't know, existing. Yeah. And also, might I just say, very fitting, the girl who was sitting at the table with the sign turned upside down because she didn't even know the difference, that she was holding a sign upside down. She has no clue. She has no clue.
Look, we don't judge by appearance. But if you can't take care of yourself and you don't have any dignity to take care of yourself, you remember when Hillary called all Trump supporters degenerates?
Mm-hmm. Deplorables.
You're in deplorables, the deplorables and the degenerates. You're actually now seeing the real deplorables and the degenerates who've been indoctrinated just coming out of, I equate it to New York City when the rats come out of the sewer, right? Yeah. You see them every once in a while when the trash comes out. That's what's happening at night. When the trash comes out, the rats come out, and this is what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So we have a faction of our society that are so gullible that they would do this kind of stuff. Think they have a right to walk up to a couple who's just sitting having dinner and say, "This is my chair." That kid, my heart actually breaks for the kid, because that kid that took that chair is a broken vessel. Is a hurting, broken individual. My heart truly hurts for this kid. Probably don't have a father, was probably abused, has more baggage than he knows what to do with, and you have a party that goes, Good. That's where we like our voters to be. Lots of baggage. So when we press on them, they come apart.
Well, you're kinder than I am because I don't have that kind of empathy for him. More like contempt. Kezia, what are your thoughts?
I don't know what type of movie they think that they're in, because when I try to convince someone of my point, I'm not going to scream at them and harass them if we've not even engaged in a conversation at all. But I'm just like baffled that these protesters, they obviously believe that they're fighting for something real and serious, which is what they think it is a serious issue of like racism against the Black community. Would they not go up and say, hey, this person, they were attacked by police. Please come and march with us. Like, we want your support. Like, that's how I would try and convince someone. But it's almost as if they don't actually want to convince people to see their point of view. They just want to muck about and be like, what's your point? What are you trying to achieve?
I don't even think they know.
Kezia, where hate leads, when hate, and this is cognitive, okay? When hate comes to the frontal lobe, logic's gone.
Right.
When hate is lit in the front of your mind, we teach our children, hey, when they get into a hissy fit or they get into a rant or whatever, you snap. Our one daughter, you just start counting. You say, hey, what's 2 + 2? And she goes 4. And literally, you can see a human being's cognitive thought move to left brain, right brain, out of the frontal lobe, and all of a sudden they settle down. These people live in the moment like animals. It's all instinct. There's no thinking. It's all frontal lobe. It's all instinct. And when hate is in the frontal lobe, this is how a serial killer justifies killing people. They live in this space of hate, and logic's gone. There's no logic.
Well, I see that video, and I'm like, Trump could not have written a better 2020 campaign ad. They just keep providing the content for his 2020 campaign. All right, we've got more coming up. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Omega XL. If you are one of many Americans who, we just live in pain here in America. We just think like, well, knee pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, that's just kind of normal. It's just kind of part of getting older, and you just have to deal with it, or I don't know, rub some cream on it and it feels better for 20 minutes and then you're back to being depressed and miserable for the rest of the day. You don't have to live like that. What you might not know is the underlying cause of your pain is probably inflammation, which you have to make sure to treat, or it can cause permanent damage, and your problem is just going to keep getting worse. Omega XL is a product that attacks the inflammation that is causing your pain, so it actually goes away, and it's not like one of those topical rubs that you're going to put on your shoulder, and like I said, you're going to be like, wow, this feels good for the 20 minutes that it lasts, and then I'm back to being miserable again. Don't do that. Use Omega XL. It will neutralize the inflammation that causes painful, stiff joints and muscles. It is made from an essential fatty acid combination from the pristine waters of New Zealand. So you know it's good. All right. You can go to omegaxl.com/news. If you'd like to get out of pain, I'm just saying, if you like living in pain and you enjoy living in pain, you can ignore the rest of what I'm about to say. But if you don't enjoy living in pain, as it turns out, you can try Omega XL. Order it now and get a second bottle for free at omegaxl.com/news. Get that second bottle for free. Don't wait. Go to omegaxl.com/news. Back in a minute. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were greeted by kind of an antagonistic crowd as they paid their respects to the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg today. She was, of course, laid in repose. And here is what it looked like outside the building when President Trump arrived. Watch. If you couldn't tell, they were chanting, "Vote him out." And of course, the president and the first lady ended up leaving shortly after they began booing. But, you know, it's interesting because we are told that all of these people, they respected Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they loved her. So it's very interesting to see them sullying the moment so much by screaming and booing and making it a political thing, right? Politicizing something that should be as sacred and honorable as paying your respects to the late Supreme Court Justice, who, by all accounts, was a woman who accomplished a lot in her life. What are your thoughts?
A woman who accomplished a lot. I think Chad said it well the other day. You pay respect where respect is due.
Right.
Do I align with any of her policies?
Right.
No.
Right.
But
she accomplished a lot.
My mom raised me with tact, which is a little thing that these kind of Americans need to learn, and class. And you looked at a president there who's doing the classy, tactful thing, the right thing to do, to show up, pay respects in honor, face the music, right? But those who standing out there chanting against him, I wonder if 4 months ago they could tell you a lot about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Probably not.
Any sort of landmark decisions?
Probably not. Nothing.
No.
They can't tell you anything about her policies. Meanwhile, the man standing there could probably write a book about her policies and the ones he doesn't agree with, but yet still, he shows up. All of us say, hey, pay respect. This is someone's family member. This is a human being. No human life lost we should ever frown upon, right? But again, it just shows you, Sarah, what they're really about. They're not about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. Because they wouldn't dare in that moment to bastardize such a sacred situation in a moment. They would say, listen, we're here now. Let's lay our weapons down, right? And after this, we're going to go back to war.
Right.
That's what an adult does.
Well, and to his point, Kez, that's what President Trump, I think, did, and that's what the GOP did. They said, look, let's pay respects to her. Let's do what we need to do here. Be respectful, honor her memory, wait until that's done with before we move on with constitutionally what we need to do and fill the seat. That's what they did. The other side, however, doesn't seem like they can actually just be respectful to the woman who we are told by them was apparently God's greatest gift ever.
Right. Well, they just hate Trump too much. And the left, there's nothing sacred with them anymore. Not death or life. It's not sacred. They don't care. And I really think that whole situation actually just makes Trump look really good, and it makes them look like, well, like you said, you don't even care about her. If you even cared a little bit, you would just, you know what? It doesn't matter. As much as I hate this guy, it doesn't matter. But if they think that they're doing that in, like, screaming, vote him out in honor of Ruth, well, no. Then that also talks about what things that she held dear.
Right, right. Well, and, I mean, you look at these people and it's like, what would you say if President Trump didn't show up?
Right.
Right. I mean, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah. And when he shows up and is silent and just doing the honorable thing that
he's
you
wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Right.
But they won't be happy. He could say, I'm not going to go and see her and, screw that lady. Right. She was terrible, wicked, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But he doesn't. Yeah. But they expect for him to do that.
I'd argue this.
Yeah.
If he didn't show up, they'd actually secretly be disappointed because they wouldn't have a reason to act out again. They're looking, arsonist wants to set fire. Okay, they're walking around with a cooking Molotov and they just want to throw it at someone, right? They would attack him anyway. There's no question. You're saying something that's so on point. I don't know that there's anything that they actually stand for other than anarchy. Yeah. Anything, right? Did they treat George Floyd's situation any differently? No, they didn't. They didn't care about George Floyd. They wanted to burn stuff down. They wanted to break. George was an excuse to break this down. And they go, in the name of George Floyd, and his own family comes out and say, hey, this is dishonoring.
Yeah, same with Jacob Blake, the mom saying,
same thing.
Don't do this.
Yeah. All right, speaking of attacking President Trump, no matter what he does, Joe Scarborough, do you guys remember way back when Joe Scarborough was actually friends with the president? Isn't it bizarre that like that really? Even I'm like, did I dream that happened? When was that? 2015, 2016 maybe? They had him on the show. Yep. They were friends, and now they spend their entire show, the Morning Joe show, just bashing him for every reason under the sun. So President Trump, actually, he was asked in a media briefing if he would commit to making sure there is a peaceful transition of power after the election. In his standard President Trump language, he said, well, we'll have to see what happens. Here is President Trump, and then we'll get into Joe Scarborough's reaction after.
Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
Now, what I hear him saying, sometimes you got to get through the Trump language to just get to the bottom of what he's saying, which is, well, I'm going to base my decision on facts. And you've got a reporter who's saying, but there are people rioting. And he's like, cool, but I'm just telling you, we need to make sure that this is all factually accurate before we move on from the election. I don't see what the big deal is. Am I missing anything?
There's nothing to decipher. He said exactly what he said. Remember, he's a New Yorker. He's going to speak frank, off the cuff, on the nose, whatever you want to call it. He basically said, if you aim to steal it, it's not going to be peaceful.
Right.
If you aim to just give the people the power that they've had forever to vote, and you run a clean process, it'll be peaceful. As a matter of fact, I'll still be here, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Joe Scarborough, he said, Donald Trump rambles incoherently, but his message is clear. He will not respect the voters' will and will not commit to a peaceful transfer of power. So who arrests Trump and the Attorney General if they attempt to steal an election and commit treason? Kez, like I said, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I got it that sometimes President Trump says things in a very Trumpian way. I felt like he was very clear here.
Yeah, I wasn't confused by what he was saying, but I do think that this question would have been a really, really good question to ask Hillary Clinton at her time, because still 4 years later, she's still sour about, well, I actually did win or whatever. Yeah. But the question even goes back on them. If Trump does win, are you going to just peacefully allow him to continue? Are they going to ask Joe Biden that same question?
I think that their answer would be no.
No, Kez, come on. What are we talking about? Hillary literally, with Bill Clinton staring at her like he just drank sour milk, said, I advise Joe Biden not to go peacefully.
Yeah.
She actually said that, right?
Yeah.
Even if Trump wins, it doesn't matter. So all of a sudden you want double standards? Oh, that's right. They play by double standard.
Right. That's the only standard that they know. All right. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor. We've got a new sponsor of the show. I'm very excited. It's called Fast Growing Trees. And I'm not sure if you know this, but if you were looking to plant a tree, actually the best time to plant a tree was like 20 years ago so that it can be big. Yeah. Did you like that one?
Oh, okay. She's funny.
But the second best time is right now. Fall is planting season for trees, in case you didn't know. But you don't need to run out and dig through some lackluster section at the big box stores. You got to go to fastgrowingtrees.com. This is the world's largest online nursery. And let me tell you, I want to use the promo code too, right? So I went there and I was looking. They've got thousands of varieties of trees, shrubs, plants. We just built a new house, so we have like the standard stuff that they gave us, but we have nothing. We don't have any big trees, which is something that I really missed from our older house. It was an older home. It had the big expansive trees. We had the shade. And so I went on to fastgrowingtrees.com and I was like, what can I get? And it is so hard for my 9-month pregnancy brain to come up with just a decision. There's so many things there, and they're all so nice, and they're all so well priced. I can't even figure out which one to get. So really, if you are looking for shrubs, plants, trees, whatever it is, they are expertly curated to thrive in your area, and they deliver it to your door in 1 or 2 days. They deliver it ready to go. It's in this very nice little ready to plant thing. All you got to do is just dig the hole and you put it in there. They make it so easy for you. Let me just tell you, there is a reason that they are the world's largest online nursery. All right, you got to go to fastgrowingtrees.com/news. It is fastgrowingtrees.com/news. Now through November 15th, you will get 10% off at fastgrowingtrees.com/news. By the way, they have I believe it's a 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee. So just in case you're like, well, but if I go to that big box store, they're going to give me a guarantee in case it dies, I can take it back. You're not missing out on that with fastgrowingtrees.com. You got to go there. It is fastgrowingtrees.com/news for 10% off. Back in a minute. Speaking of Hillary Clinton, we were just talking about that lovely woman. Gosh, I miss her. I'm just kidding, I don't. But it's not because she has disappeared and I've gotten to live without her constantly in our ears. It's because she just won't go away. She keeps giving the tours and talking about all the reasons why she didn't win. By the way, this is totally not the news story that I'm about to get into, but did you guys see that she has a podcast that's being released very soon?
Is it just also has a Netflix special, does she?
Oh, I'm sure that that's coming next,
Oh
but
my God.
she does have a podcast. So I personally can't wait to stab myself in the ear with a fork to avoid actually having to listen to her podcast.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Just give me the name so I know what to avoid, please.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it is. That's how little attention I paid. I was just like, oh my God, they're all doing it. Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton. I mean, I guess it's a smart way to get some residual income, I guess.
Hey,
but
praise God for
who wants
freedom.
to
I do not
listen?
have to listen.
Yeah, who wants to listen? The Department of Justice is reportedly investigating how the FBI dealt with claims of political corruption at the Clinton Foundation. Now, this is according to a new report from the New York Times. U.S. Attorney John Durham, who, of course, was assigned to lead the investigation into alleged Russian interference in the 2016 election, he has apparently sought documents and interviews about how federal law enforcement officials handled an investigation around the same time into allegations of political corruption at the Clinton Foundation. This is according to people who were familiar with the matter. The Clinton Foundation released a statement that said they have regularly been subjected to baseless, politically motivated allegations, and time after time, these allegations have been proven false. They didn't put the air quotes there, but I did. So what are your thoughts, guys? Because, they're like, oh, well, we always get scrutinized and everything always ends up being proven false. And I'm like, well, no, that's actually just the deep state covering for you.
Yeah, it just gets quashed like taking a hammer to some hard drives and some phones. It's just kind of, it's pretty bad, but it's Hillary, and then it drifts, right?
Right.
I say go dig deep. Take an army of investigators and lawyers. Remember who ran the FBI when that investigation was going down, by the way. Let's just remember who sat at the top, who was blocking and tackling on their behalf. And while you're digging into them, let's dig into Haiti, the Clinton Foundation with the Red Cross, the $4 billion in Haiti. Let's just dig into all of it. And then let's just see what Hunter's doing, and let's just get all of them because it's all connected. There's so much illegal activity that has run through that organization, Sarah, that I want to say this. If you're going to go dig, just have a hazmat suit because you're going to uncover a little more than COVID. Okay.
Do you agree, Kez?
Yeah, and I think it's silly if Hillary's like, oh, guys, come on, stop picking on me. Right. But she's kind of got a track record that already makes us suspicious. Like, what about those emails? And do you remember that one time when that happened? Like, she's just got this track record that's already made her an untrustworthy person. So she shouldn't be too surprised. And if she's got nothing to hide, well, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
If you're innocent, then there's no reason for you to be concerned or whatever. I know it's probably annoying, but don't worry about it.
Well, I remember whenever they were talking about all of the emails, when James Comey came out and reversed everything and said, well, we're still looking into it. It's not a case closed situation. And I remember her giving an interview and saying, well, just because there's smoke doesn't always mean there's fire. And I'm like, well, where did the smoke come from then? I've never heard that one.
Was that Comey?
Yeah,
he didn't go to the Boy Scouts, obviously.
Right.
Dad never taught him how to make fire in the woods. Okay? No, the fire produces the smoke, buddy. This is just the heat. But anyway, I'm happy. You say, why is she saying, well, don't come after me now? because just maybe she does not have the protection she used to have. And just maybe a little bit of nervousness coming in now, which is so healthy. Consequence has to come in. Just maybe she's a little bit in the back of her mind going, he beat me. I know I can beat Joe. He's going to beat Joe, meaning Trump. And they're going to come after me.
Yes.
So, okay, so speaking of
Hillary.
People being nervous, we talked about what happened with Hunter Biden yesterday and Joe Biden.
Yes.
Should Joe Biden be getting nervous as well?
Very. Like father, like son. There's a reason he's sniffing kids on the Senate floor, right? That his boy was trained well in dad's image. Like this thing is like an old sweater, and we just got a nice thread to pull on, and it's going to unravel, Sarah. It's so epic. You saw Joe's conversation with the Ukraine. We covered that on this show. Well, here we go again. Ukraine, women in the Ukraine, Russia, oligarch money, Hunter paying money through the Ukraine to Russia. Ooh, this is pretty. Just keep pushing.
Yeah.
More pressure.
Do you think, Kez, that this story, I always worry that the average American will not latch onto it because it's very convoluted. You need a Glenn chalkboard to be able to understand
make it simple.
Yeah, and I
Hunter
worry.
was connected to groups who are engaged in sex trafficking.
Oh, there you go.
It's that simple.
Surely that resonates with a suburban woman voter at the very least, right?
I think that will get anybody's heart mad and angry and wanting justice for that more than anything else, because that is, everyone knows, especially mums, parents, whoever, don't mess with kids.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come. Back in a minute.
I was on a different news network yesterday for an interview, and they said, well, should there be any consequence because it was in Eastern Europe?
An Ohio woman was tased and handcuffed yesterday for not wearing a mask at an outdoor 8th grade football game. This is according to local reports. We do have a video of it, but let me just set it up. Okay, like I said, she was at an 8th grade football game. And this is according to the statement released by the school district. So take that for what it's worth before you watch the video. It says, during a middle school football game, an attendee was asked to comply with the Ohio High School Athletic Association's and athletic facilities policies. The attendee refused to do so and consequently was asked to leave by the attending law enforcement officer. This was a school resource officer, by the way. After resisting to request to exit the premises, the individual was apprehended at the discretion of the attending law enforcement officer, and the school district is not able to comment further on the details due to investigation. But here is what it looked like to some of the people who were just sitting there trying to watch a football game. And by the way, you'll notice this is all outdoors.
Socially distant.
It's all socially distanced.
Family.
They have X's on the bleachers where people need to sit so that they sit far enough apart. And again, it is open air outdoors. Here is the incident. Watch.
I am.
Put your hand behind your back. I will not put my hands behind my back. I'm not friendly. You're nothing wrong. Get off of me. What the is wrong with you? Get off of me. You're not arresting me for nothing. I am doing nothing wrong.
But he may be, Bridget, because there's a cop car over there.
No, you're going to
There's a cop car over there. Do you want to call him?
Come on.
Tase somebody over a mask. Tasing this lady over not wearing a damn mask.
Now, we started the show talking about our law enforcement officers and how important they are. And obviously this show believes fully that law enforcement officers are very important. However, there is something to be said when things like this happen. And, a woman is now being tased and handcuffed because I guess she didn't find it necessary to wear a mask in open air. So how do you walk this line then, Jaco? This
Sarah,
is a difficult one.
we support law enforcement on this show, this network, 100%. And this network and this show, you have also brought justice to where a individual law enforcement officer has stepped out of line, and as an individual acted wrong. We've always been fair and balanced. I wonder if he asked her if she has a medical condition. I wonder if he even knew. I don't know how old the lady is. She looks younger, but I'm just going in that situation. It doesn't look like there was time for him to ask questions. She may be pregnant. She may be dealing with a medical condition. You're tasing somebody who's not running away. Yes, resisting putting a mask on here, but it's just, I wonder if we'll see the same outcry here as what we normally see whenever the radicals are going.
Right.
You will not.
Right.
You will not. They'll shove it under the rug. Because it doesn't fit the narrative. It's ridiculous, number one. And I want to see, it's DeWine, right? Governor DeWine, right? I want to see what DeWine does on this one. I want to hear him say something here. I want to kind of see that you step up, DeWine, like we just saw the Florida governor step up and say, I'm going to protect my citizens. Because the narrative is so ridiculous. We're open air, as you said. She's sitting with her family, who she's going home with, who she's riding in the car with. She's socially distanced from anybody else. Okay? And I get it. If there are rules, I get it. But she got tased.
Right, and that's the thing, is like, even if there are rules and she's not following them, officer discretion is a tricky one, but certainly I don't find it. The scientists would even say she's pretty safe in open air, not wearing a mask and also socially distancing, Kaz.
It's getting a little bit strange. Like, I'm wondering, why are we so afraid of this virus that historically has a very low death rate, more than we are of like tyranny, which has immensely higher death rate. And not even just in the US, but in Australia, I was reading this morning, a little autistic boy went missing in the state of Victoria, and they are just ridiculous there with their things. And they've got like a 3-mile radius that you can't leave your home. And so this little boy went missing, and the law enforcement there rejected like 50 locals who wanted to go out looking for this boy, who knew the area, and now the little boy's turned up dead. So what's more dangerous?
Right.
Why I can't say anything else. I'm just baffled.
Yeah. All right, we've got more to come. Back in a minute.
I was watching that clip and I was asking myself, I was sitting there, I'm telling you right now, I'm sitting there, I stepped in.
The age-old question I feel like we keep asking, yesterday's poll, will Joe Biden find a way to weasel out of next week's debate? 87% of you said yes, he will, followed by almost 13% who said no. I mean, I'm telling you, every day that passes, it's going to get harder and harder for Joe to find a legitimate excuse other than, I got COVID, I can't.
No, he's in the first one.
He's got to be.
He's in, but he's going to find a way out the rest. But he's in the first one.
And they're already they've got to already be planning. Like, oh, how do we avoid?
Joe Biden will show up. Jill versus Trump.
Well, she does seem to be his mouthpiece in interviews. So you know what? Maybe I wouldn't rule out anything in 2020. All right. Today's poll: do you agree with the grand jury's final decision in the Breonna Taylor case? Now, I'm just going to go ahead and preface this very quickly with, you gotta know the facts of the case before you vote on the poll. Please, please, for the love of all that is holy, don't be like, well, the police were at the wrong house and had the wrong address. And also, no, please go read the facts of the case before you vote on this poll. And then you can vote on this poll at The Blaze's Twitter. That is @TheBlaze. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
You.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
Camera.